Hello, you amazing people, and welcome to Stardew Valley. I've played this game quite a lot already, and I've got a number of mods that I started playing with that were fun, and I decided to come up with a new challenge. I remember seeing a challenge that somebody did about not leaving the farm ever, and I thought, that's an interesting idea. Usually farms are quite rural, they're quite remote and a long way from anywhere. And I really like RPG kind of games where you can unlock features and skills and level up, and there's not a whole lot of that in Stardew Valley. So I've come up with some rules that I want to try and follow through. The idea is that you can only leave the farm twice a month, so once a fortnight, but you're allowed to go to the festivals, obviously, because that's a special day out. You're only allowed to go to one specific area at a time. So with the map, you've got the farm. It's quite remote and far away, so it's going to take some effort to get into town is the idea behind it. And then the town consists of the community centre, all of the town shops, and the blacksmith, and I guess the beach as well. And then the mountains, you've got the quarry, the mines, the train station and the spa, Robin's carpentry shop, and that sort of is the mountain area. So if you want to go into town for that fortnight, you can go to the town and go to Pierre's or Clint's, or you can go up to the mountains because everything is isolated. But just to make totems a bit more interesting, because I never really used them that much, if you have totems, you can use the totem to get anywhere, anytime. So you can go from the town, which you would use the beach totems to get to the beach and then go into town, or you can use the mountain totem to get up to Robin's shop, and of course the desert and the island will have their own totems. Cindersap's a little bit more complicated, so I'll get back to that in a second. But the catch with using totems is that you have to have a return to the farm totem, because if you don't, or the return scepter, because if you don't, you just have to stay there and fall asleep and risk losing money or risk losing an item, just to make it a bit more challenging and a bit more interesting. Once the minecarts are unlocked, you can use those to get around easier, so on your one trip into town, you can then use the minecarts to go up to the mountain, go down to the beach, all of that kind of thing, and you can use the bus stop to get to and from the farm, so if you need to go backwards and forwards you can. Just to sort of get that feeling of expansion and, unlocking more of the world as you go. Now, to get to Cindersap, because it's so isolated and remote, and that would include Marnie's farm, you have to do it in a one-day trip. So if you're going to Cindersap, you can't really go to the town or the mountains in that same trip. But once you've unlocked the community centre, and then you go into the witch's cave, then you can get to Rasmodius's tower, and then you can get to Cindersap that way. But the other thing too is I wanted to allow skills to have a bit more impact. So, like for example, once you've maxed out your farming skill and you've reached year 2, you're allowed to get a horse, in which case you can go in each week instead of each fortnight. And you can travel around all the different areas. And then a breakdown, because I've got cheats enabled. You can only talk to people as you see them, obviously, but once you've reached 5 hearts with everybody, I will allow the give gifts anytime, and that allows me to give as many gifts, because at the moment you're only limited to being allowed to give 2 gifts per week, which if you're not going into town much doesn't really matter, but once you've reached 5 hearts with everybody, you're allowed to give as many gifts as you want, because you're getting to know them a bit more. It makes sense. But once you've reached maximum friendships with everybody in town, like the main 28 people that you have to meet at the beginning of the game, so I'm not including the extra bonuses for the single people, I'll turn on the no friendship decay, because you're pretty good friends with everybody, so I think you'd know how to keep friends with everyone. And then for the skills, the idea is that I will follow one path as usual. So for fishing, for example, I'll become a fisher, say, and then I will become an angler, so I get more money for fish. But once I've maxed out the fishing level, I can then unlock all of the rest of them, because you're a master at fishing, and if you're going to maximize your fishing skill and master fishing, I would tend to think that you would know pretty much everything. And then on top of that, to give that sort of growth feel and that, limitation through to expanding out and being able to do everything. For example, with the farming skill, I'm going to limit myself to only 2 vegetables and 1 flower per season, or per crops. So if I'm growing parsnips and cauliflower, once the parsnips have grown to full maturity, then I can plant something else, but I have to wait until the cauliflowers are finished before I can change to a different crop, if that makes sense. And then when I've maxed out my farming skill, I get to turn on auto water crops, and I have a no crows mod where it just eliminates crows. So again, once you've maximized your farming skill, you're going to know everything there is about farming. Once you level up to the iridium watering can, you get to turn on infinite water in the can, because it's the best watering can. And when you have the iridium hoe, you get to turn on infinite hay. Then with mining, once you've maxed out your mining, I will turn on the maximum stamina, infinite stamina, because you've pretty much maxed out your muscles, I would think. You'd have pretty good stamina by that stage. And I also have a mod called More Rings, and it lets me wear extra rings, so I'll add that back in again. Then when you can upgrade to the iridium pickaxe, I will turn on the one-hit break, because it's sort of the top level perfect pickaxe, so you can just annihilate all of the stones and things. And when I've reached the maximum mining and the end of the first mine up near the Adventurers Guild, I'll add in a mod called Item Recovery, and that lets me get anything that I've lost. So at the moment I just have to pick one thing that I can get recovered if I die, whereas the Item Recovery, I think I can just get everything back again. Then when I've maxed out my foraging, I can increase my movement speed, because I usually have it up 1 anyway. And it just makes getting around a lot easier, because you've spent a lot of time in the woods collecting things and getting, moving through foliage and that sort of thing. And then when I've maxed out my foraging and I've managed to buy myself the return scepter, I will add in a mod called Night Owl, and that lets me stay out all night and I never fall asleep. So, I mean, you could return home anyway, and it sort of makes that whole falling asleep at 2 o'clock a bit redundant by that stage. And that way you can stay down in the mines and just keep working and, just get that sense of achievement again. And then when I can unlock the golden scythe, I will turn on maximum daily luck, and that means that I'm just always lucky because you've got this fancy new golden scythe. And then with fishing, once I've maxed out the fishing, I will get to turn on the maximum distance, and you can turn it off if you need to, but that just lets you throw as far as you can every single time, which means you get better quality fish. So then when I've maxed out my fishing skill and I have the iridium rod, it will allow me to turn on instant catch, which means I'll be getting perfect level fish every single time. And to add to that, once I have my maximum fishing, the iridium rod, and I've caught all of the fish, I can turn on instant bite, which will just make the whole process way quicker. And then with combat, once I've maximized the combat skill, I get to turn on infinite health, because you're pretty much an expert at fighting by that stage, so I'll never take damage. And when I've unlocked all of my combat skills and the galaxy sword, I can turn on instant weapon cooldowns and one hit kill, which will let me just instantly wipe out everything. And then just for the fun of it, once I've completed the volcano and I've got into Qui, whatever his name is, Qui's secret lab, and I've collected enough walnuts, golden walnuts, to be able to get into the lab, I'll be able to turn on some of these fast machine processing things, which will let me just collect every single day. Like, you just stand there and farm, you get 200 honey in one day, kind of thing. You just get it instantly, basically. The game is pretty much finished by that stage anyway. Alright, so that's basically a general overview of what I'm intending on doing with this particular playthrough. Hopefully you found it interesting and somewhat comprehensive. But, yeah, I think it'll be fun to try and play it through like that. And I do want to make this a complete playthrough, so just 100% everything. That's sort of the idea. Run away. That thing again. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you there as we go on this journey of exploring Stardew Valley. Thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye. Dear Drek, if you're reading this, you must be in dire need of change. The same thing happened to me long ago. I'd lost sight of what mattered most in life. Real connections with other people and nature. So I dropped everything and moved to the place I truly belong. I've enclosed the deed to that place, my pride and joy, Haunted Farm. It's located in Stardew Valley, on the southern coast. It's the perfect place to start your new life. It was my most precious gift of all, and now it's yours. I know you'll honour the family name, my dear. Good luck. Love, Grandpa. P.S. If Lewis is still alive, say hi to the old guy for me, will ya? You must be Drac. Indeed I am. Not the vampire, just to clarify. I mean, I may or may not be a vampire, but shh. I'm Robin, the local carpenter. Mayor Lewis sent me here to fetch you and show you the way to your new home. He's there right now, tidying things up for your arrival. The farm's right over here. If you'll follow me, lead the way, right behind you. This is Haunted Farm. Gah. What? What's the matter? Sure, it's a bit overgrown, but there's some good soil underneath that mess. With a little dedication, you'll have it cleaned up in no time. Right. And here we are, your new home. That. Ah, the new farmer. Welcome, I'm Lewis, Mayor of Pelican Town. You know, everyone's been asking about you. I hope it's good. It's not every day that someone new moves in. This is quite a big deal. Oh, thank you. So, you're moving into your grandfather's old cottage. It's a good house, very rustic. Rustic? That's one way to put it. Crusty might be a little more apt though. Rude. Don't listen to her, Drac. She's just trying to make you dissatisfied so that she'll buy one of her house upgrades. Anyway, you must be tired from the long journey. You should get some rest. Tomorrow, you ought to explore town a bit and introduce yourself. The townspeople would appreciate that. By the way, Grandpa says hi. Oh, I almost forgot. If you have anything to sell, just place it in this box here. I'll come by during the night to collect it. Okay, not creepy at all. Well, good luck. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And remember, I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye!